I've been doing Bharatanatyam, a type of Indian classical dance, ever since I was 5 years old. And during these past 12 years of dance, I've had the opportunity to perform in front of hundreds of people. Now, I'm not sure if any of you have actually watched a Bharatanatyam performance before, but the amount of preparation that goes into this dance form is uncanny. It takes almost 3 hours, for example, to just put on the makeup, the costume, and the jewelry. And this is nothing compared to the amount of dance I do every week. So why go through all this trouble for just a few moments on stage? And the answer is simple: to tell a story. Bharatanatyam originated in the 1st century when Bharata Muni wrote the famous Natya Shastra, articulating the principles of this dance form. Through the ages, people have used dance to show their devotion to various Hindu gods and goddesses. Through dance, I'm essentially preserving this history, but more importantly, I'm doing so by giving meaning to information, which is what makes storytelling one of the most powerful human capacities that we have. Storytelling essentially taps into this human emotion and imagination and provides us with the tools to create this personal level of information by engaging these cores of human nature. In Bharatanatyam, for example, we have 2 main ideas: bhavam, meaning expression, and natyam, meaning dance. Facial expressions and hand movements essentially create the alphabet of this dance form. For example, we can use the Alapadma hand gesture to show the lotus flower that goddess Lakshmi sits upon to represent beauty. Or we can use the Tripitaka hasta to represent maybe a tear trickling down the face or a gold necklace worn by a woman. These hand movements, in combination with a series of facial expressions, convey raw human emotion, such as jealousy, bliss, and love. This more intimate presentation of history unlocks so much potential, and these elements of Bharatanatyam are the ways in which I can connect to my audience. And this is not just me. People throughout history have used storytelling as a means of communication because it's so relatable. The Australian Aboriginal people, for instance, 50,000 years ago, used cave art for their storytelling, and eventually combined this with various other art forms such as dance and music. The Native Americans have a rich oral tradition as well. There's something called a story engram, where people organize their stimuli into miniature stories. We essentially break down stimuli into causal relationships that form the basis of stories. Our brains have actually evolved for us to become innate storytellers and story listeners. In effect, stories allow individuals to emphasize how we're all alike, to convey a foreign idea. And storytelling is not only an enlightening experience for the listener, but the expressor as well. This process of discovering a way to articulate ideas creates this new level of understanding. Through dance, I've had the opportunity to express my culture, and I've learned about the ancient folk tales of South India and how people lived at the time. As I put on this 6-piece costume, these 15 pieces of jewelry, as I outline my eyes in black, and as I try to figure out how I can incorporate these ideas to create a means of expression, I create this appreciation of ideas, and this appreciation of ideas is reciprocal through this process of articulation. So in essence, the stories that we tell ultimately define us. Storytelling is a method of education that goes beyond just raw facts and reaches out to the human experience. In an age when we can get information almost instantly, it's important that we mustn't forget the power of the story. This emphasis on expression is what has united humans for centuries and is an important means of self-discovery. Approaching a situation through the eyes of a storyteller can unlock so much potential. In fact, it's scientifically proven that stories actually activate so many different parts of our brain. If I just talked to you through a list of facts, for instance, I would only be stimulating a small portion of your brain called the Wernicke's area. But if we stimulated senses, created personal connections, and imagined new places, we could stimulate so many other parts of the brain. In effect, one story can activate completely new ideas through these bursts of stimuli. So the truth of the matter is that we all have some story to tell, and we all have the capacity to tell these stories through our classrooms and conversations. All we have to do is start the story. Thank you.